Good morning, everyone. The reading I think was 2 days ago, about, unconditional love. That might have been day one, I think. So it's been very challenging for me today with my animals because I have a slider right, the cat's right there. In, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. I love them, but sometimes I find them very challenging. So there you go. All right, so today is February 5th. Oh my God. Anyway, one great lesson I learned from my life: there is no market for your emotions. So never advertise your feelings, just show your attitude. Nishan Pamwar. This quote comes from a world that programs us that emotions are just not okay. There's a host of emotions that end up on the forbidden list, meaning you shouldn't feel them or display them. What if this is just plain wrong? As I learn to release the forbidden emotions, example, off-limit emotions, and allow them into my experience, I actually learn the richness of these emotions. As I realize there isn't a single emotion that is bad or wrong, they're just emotions. This can level the playing field for me. It's not the emotion that is bad. It's the action that comes from the suppression of emotion that can cause harm. So doesn't it stand to reason then that feeling fully is advisable and actually necessary for my mental, emotional, physical well-being? As I release stuck emotions, I clear the space in myself to learn how to feel fully and be freed. I move on from emotions so much faster. I harbor fewer resentments. That one just struck me. That's something that's just sort of cleared for me recently. I genuinely and easily let go of anger without having to try to let it go. I am able to let go without shaming myself about my emotions, about any emotion I feel, because I am no longer making them wrong, forbidden, or off limits. Liberation and freedom are on the other side of feeling fully. Thought for the day: as I learn to feel fully, I liberate myself, body, mind, and spirit. And again, we live in a world that just like, oh, this emotion's okay, this one's off limits, that one's okay to feel, that one, no, not so much. And I do believe there's a lot of shaming done to many of us about different emotions. And there's this, oh, good, Cindy. Hey, Cindy. Hey, is it Janaea? Oh, I hope I'm saying your name right. And Michelle, great to see you here. There's so much shaming about emotions and so much programming around different emotions, like, that's okay, this isn't, that's okay. As if, like, why would we come in installed with this amazing palette of emotions if we were not meant to feel them fully? And as I said, the problem that I see, it is never the emotion itself that's the problem. It's the keeping the stiff upper lip and the suppression of the emotion that ultimately creates behaviors that cause problems. It's never the emotion. If the emotion is allowed to move through us, it does. I heard this said once, that an emotion, and I put this, I think it's in the first book, an emotion takes about 90 seconds to move through us. I would add to that unencumbered. So if we're grew up in a very healthy, functional home, let me know who that person is, because I know I didn't. It's like the emotions get felt. It's like, oh, I'm feeling really angry. And they might crescendo and then they dissipate. They might circle back around, but they come through us like waves when we're allowed and open to let them move through us. And when not, that's when physical stuff can start, all of a sudden, my whole styrofoam peanuts example, that's a freaking great one. It's like, it's going, that emotion's got to go somewhere. That's when you take a baseball bat to a mattress, because you're like, and that's, And people in our culture, I think, are made to feel like they're crazy, they're insane, because all of a sudden the lid has been taken off of these emotions, and now it's like, bam, you're there, you're present with them. It's like you can't unfeel them. And so we go through this period where you might feel like, oh God, there's something really wrong with me and I'm so screwed up. And to me, that's part of the journey. It's taking the lid off. And all of a sudden now you're left with these emotions. And I'll share one last story. When I was living in the Chicago area, and I'd gone into a 12-step group because I was really struggling with an eating disorder. And I desperately wanted it to stop. I mean, with every fiber of my being, I did not want this to be the case. I tried anything and everything I could, and I would have the best of intentions, and then I would fall back down the rabbit hole. When I finally got into a 12-step group, a couple things. One, I finally realized I'm not crazy. There's a bunch of people around here that have felt the same way that I have. And I started to feel this sense of community, and then we could start laughing about all the stuff that we had carried so much shame about, which was huge. So one day I'm driving down the highway, and I don't know, my thoughts were going somewhere, and it was not anger. Let me say that it was not anger. It was rage. I literally just welled up with rage. And I remember I'm like, I think I pulled over. It's been a long time. It's like over 25 years ago. And I was just like banging my fists on the steering wheel and screaming at the top of my lungs. And I literally at that time was like, I'm insane. And what I came to understand now is, and through the help of that 12-step group, was the unbottling of emotion. I was no longer doing something that would anesthetize my emotions. I was actually feeling them fully with full on intensity. And that can feel so, I think we think, God, I'm crazy. I'm feeling the intensity of this emotion. But here's the truth. You're just finally feeling really fully and allowing those emotions to come through you. So I cannot speak enough for how, if you all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I don't know what the hell's going on with me, but oh my God, I'm like this big gland of emotion. That's a stage that many of us go through when we start to unhook from this idea that this emotion's okay and that one's not. And, oh, really, you shouldn't feel that. That's really a shame. That's what our culture can do, is shame us for any emotion that we have. So if you start to understand that, man, the lid's off and this is like coming out of me, feelings aren't buried dead, they're buried alive, Janice Berger, all of a sudden you start to have this new experience, and then you soften and start to find space to allow yourself emotions that fully. That's why I love tapping, because I get to have all my emotions and tap through them. And I still have all kinds of emotions when I'm not tapping. And I just see the continued improvement in that over time. So anyway, I hope you found this reading helpful, and then see you back here tomorrow for February 6th. Cindy, great to see you. So glad it was helpful. I'm going to go with Janaea, Michelle. That's who I can tell was here. And that's it for now. Bye-bye.